Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with some more random rarities. So based on the amount of views and the comments on my Random Rarities Part 1 video, I'm definitely going to keep doing this series. You guys seem to enjoy it, and I enjoy making the videos. With me here, I have 5 more rare, out-of-print DVDs or Blu-rays from my collection. But first, as I mentioned in the last video, from time to time I'll also be including other rare items from my collection. And for this video, I decided to include something really cool. And it is an original Tales from the Crypt comic. Now, as much as I love horror movies, I also love horror comics, and EC Comics are my favorite. Now, if you don't know what EC is basically the company that released titles such as Tales from the Crypt, The Vault of Horror, The Haunt of Fear, Crime Suspense Stories, and Shock Suspense Stories, among others, but those were the 5 big titles. These comics came out in the 1950s. This is original, as I said, as you can tell by the price, only 10 cents. This was the golden age of comic books. Now, the thing about these are, they're extremely rare to find in good condition, in their original forms. These were reprinted in the 90s, but again, those were reprints and not originals. And the reason why they're so rare is because these were released in the 50s before the comic book code was created. And a lot of these got by, obviously, without censorship. So kids were just eating these things up. It was a way to basically see these gruesome acts and see this gore and all this great artwork, right there at home. They didn't have to sneak into horror movies to see this kind of thing. And, of course, there was a disgruntled group who decided to, kind of riot, kind of picket about it and complain and this and that. And, of course, the comic code was created based on a lot of these comics. So a lot of these originals were actually destroyed at the time. And they're very hard to come by now, especially for a decent price. I myself, as a big collector, I do have quite a few originals. I think I have around 40 or so original ECs at this time, and I'm always collecting more when I can find them for a good price. I absolutely love these things, and I'll definitely be showing more of my EC comic collection in future videos. Now on to the DVDs and Blu-rays, and first up is a movie that I have 4 different copies of, and it is David Lynch's Inland Empire. So as you see, there's 4 different covers here, 4 different editions, and this is just a crazy, surreal nightmare of a film directed by David Lynch. But what else would you expect from him? I'm showing this because, for whatever reason, this movie is out of print, and there's no other edition of this available, on a single disc. I believe it may have been released in a certain box set, but even then, those box sets go for pretty crazy prices. I believe right now the cheapest on Amazon for one of these was about $35 and change, used, and you don't know which edition you're getting. Even at the time, I remember buying these, and there was always kind of either this artwork or that artwork, I believe, that would kind of come up on eBay or Amazon, and it was always kind of a generic image, and you never knew, again, which cover you were going to get. I actually found all of these in stores at the time, and wasn't even aware that there was 4 different covers for it. Again, being a completist, being a perfectionist, I needed every one that I found, and I don't believe that there are any more other than these 4 covers. If anybody knows of any others that exist, please let me know, and I'm going to try to track that one down too. But for now, I'm happy to have these 4. Again, this movie is out of print, pretty hard to get a hold of. It's definitely hard to find in stores. I have not seen an edition of this in stores in years, in years. So yeah, pretty cool film, I guess. It really follows no kind of linear plot. But again, it's David Lynch, so what else could you really expect? If you guys have seen this movie, comment below. Let me know what you think about it. Curious to hear your opinions. Next up is pretty much the holy grail for Scream Factory slipcover collectors. Now, I say slipcover collectors because there may be other releases that Scream Factory collectors would consider the holy grail, but for those specifically collecting slipcovers, this seems to be the one that everybody wants and the most difficult to get. And it is the combo pack of Life Force. This was the collector's edition that was originally released by Scream Factory, and very shortly after went out of print. I believe it has something to do with one of the special features, licensing for it, something along those lines, something going wrong with that. I actually got this on the day it came out. You see, it still has the price tag. It says $22.99. But again, it was the day it came out, so I'm guessing I probably got this from anywhere from, you know, $15 to $20, because I'm sure it was on sale at the time. I recognize that price sticker. It's actually from a store that unfortunately is no longer in business. I used to find a lot of my rare stuff there and get a lot of good deals there. So I'm guessing I actually probably got this for around $15.99 or so on the day it came out. Now this thing goes for crazy prices. Right now, there's not even a copy of this on Amazon, just the re-release version. Scream Factory did re-release this, but it doesn't include that certain special feature, and it didn't come with the slipcover. It wasn't really considered the collector's edition when it was re-released. So here it is. Again, for anybody who collects Scream Factory slipcovers, here's that, you know, ever hard to find Life Force slipcover. Definitely a great edition too. It's 2 discs. Again, it has the theatrical edition as well as the director's cut, and then, you know, a ton of special features which Scream Factory is known for. So very cool. Glad to have this. I'm glad I picked it up when I did, and I also love that cover art. Now, speaking of Scream Factory Holy Grails, this may in fact be the ultimate Holy Grail for Scream Factory collectors, and it is the Nightbreed Director's Cut Limited Edition. Here it is. Again, this is another one I got upon its release. I actually got this before it was released because I had pre-ordered it to get the poster and to make sure I got my copy. This is number 163 out of 10,000. Now, 10,000 definitely seems like a large enough number, but these things went fast. And again, they go for a pretty crazy price online. Includes 3 different discs. You got Clive Barker's Nightbreed, the director's cut. You got Nightbreed bonus disc, and you got Nightbreed, the theatrical cut. And this is actually the only way to get the theatrical cut on Blu-ray, which is interesting, because Scream Factory also released a single disc, or maybe it's a 2-disc edition of the director's cut. But I believe it's just the director's cut disc and the bonus features. And you know, there's no theatrical cut on Blu-ray in there, and there's no booklet. You know, it comes in just a single Blu-ray case. You know, it doesn't come in this special packaging. But man, this is such an awesome set. You know, I've been into Scream Factory releases lately, as you guys can probably see from my videos, and you know, so I was on certain Scream Factory message boards and stuff, and I like looking up, you know, what people think is, what people think are the best Scream Factory releases, and this one always seems to pop up as either number 1 or number 2. On most lists, this was the number 1. People consider this to be the greatest Scream Factory release to date. I probably have to agree with that. I don't really see any other Scream Factory releases that top this one. This one just has everything, and it was a cut of a movie that I waited to see for years. As you guys know, any of you who watched my old videos, Nightbreed at one time I actually considered to be my favorite horror film of all time. I love this movie. It's still in my top 20. I believe this time around I had it somewhere in my top 10 when I posted my most recent top 20 horror film video, but I really love this movie. The director's cut, it's like watching a completely different film. It really is. You can watch the director's cut and the theatrical cut back to back and really not feel bored at all, because it really is like watching 2 different films. I read the book Cabal by Clive Barker, which is what Nightbreed is based on. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So again, for years I was dying to see the director's cut, since it's more true to that book. Absolutely love this release, and it's a shame that it was so limited, because I know a lot of other people would probably enjoy it, and I know a lot of other people, you know, want this release. I know recently, I don't know what company it was kind of a private company sort of thing, released the actual Cabal cut of Nightbreed. I believe it was like on a single disc for like $50 or something like that, and then there was a special, you know, $200 set that came with, you know, a poster and a pin or pendants and a few other things like that. I mean, I would have loved to have that set as well, but it was just crazy prices. So I'm happy to have this. You know, Scream Factory did this film justice, and we definitely got the release that we deserved for us Nightbreed fans. Definitely glad to have this one. Next up is yet another Scream Factory rarity, and this one's so rare because it was never actually released, and it is the All Night Horror Marathon. Now, you may say that this was actually released. You may think you have this in your collection, but you'd be wrong, because as you see here, this one includes Schizoid. This right here is the set that you probably recognize, that you probably either own or have seen in stores, and it has What's the Matter with Helen, in the place of Schizoid. So what happened at the time was, this set was ready to go. Schizoid is already in there, on the disc with the Vagrant. You can see on the back too, Schizoid, aka a lizard in woman's skin. This was all set to go. These were sent out as review copies, as you can see, which is why the barcode is punched out. It was pretty much days away from the release as far as I remember, and they had to pull it because some licensing, some rights issues, got a little crazy when it came to Schizoid. They realized they weren't allowed to release it and kind of had to scrap the whole thing. So rather than getting rid of the whole set, they instead included What's the Matter with Helen in place of Schizoid. So the only copies of these that exist to my knowledge are, of course, the review copies. They go for, anywhere from $30, $35 to start on Amazon, but I've seen them go much, much higher than that. And, I found this one for a good price, kind of randomly, wasn't really looking for it. Had to pick it up because it's definitely a cool piece to have in my collection. I don't have any other copy of the movie Schizoid, so it's pretty cool to have it in this pack. But again, it's very rare because it was never officially released. And the last movie I'll be showing in this video is one that should be released by Scream Factory. Because this DVD is now out of print, there's no other DVD release in the US, and no Blu-ray release either. So it's definitely due for an upgrade. And I'm talking about Alone in the Dark. This is a good one. It stars Martin Landau, Jack Palance, Donald Pleasance, as you can see there on top. This was the special edition released, a long time ago. I remember getting this. This was released by Image Entertainment. I remember getting this when it was brand new, again, probably on release day. Had wanted to see this one for a long time. I didn't remember much about it, so I didn't know if I had seen it on VHS, back in the day. But always heard good things about it, and it really is. It's basically, a power outage causes an asylum to, the security system to go down in an asylum, and then, all the inmates kind of run loose throughout the neighborhood, and they end up going to one of the doctor's house, and basically just causing mayhem in the neighborhood. A town in chaos, as it says there. And for whatever reason, again, this DVD went out of print, and hasn't really been, mentioned since. No other companies seem to be releasing this, and I'm really not sure why. Scream Factory definitely seems like the label to do it. But yeah, don't know what else to really say about it. It's definitely a rare DVD. Goes for some pretty high prices. I believe I saw it for $72 and change, and there was only, I think, 2 copies on Amazon. So, again, another random rarity for my collection. So that's it, guys, for part 2 of my video series, Random Rarities. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment below, let me know what you think about these films. Always love hearing from you guys. I'll be back soon with some more videos. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.